Let's talk about prices and inflation real fast. Inflation is right here. It's an increase in the price level. When price levels increase, when prices go up, which they do historically, for instance, a house today costs a lot more than a house 50 years ago, even for the same size of house. Food costs today more than it used to cost, right? So prices tend to go up. And what it does is it reduces your purchasing power. What you can get for your, so it's an increase in price level, it reduces your purchasing power. What you can get for the same money is reduced. So if you make $1,000 a year and you go to buy, a chair for 20 bucks, all right, well then it costs you 20 bucks. The next year, if you still make $1,000 and the chair is going to $25, now that chair is worth a lot more and your purchasing power has been reduced. For example, let's say your wages, how much money you make, let's say that increases by 10%, all right, which is great. You have 10% more money to spend on stuff. But prices have gone up by 15%. Even though you have 10% more money, you actually are 5% worse off. You have 5% less purchasing power because even though your wages went up by 10%, prices on average went up 15%. So you're worse off. So measuring inflation tells us, and being able to harness inflation and understand what it does to our prices and our output and be able to measure it with to other years is important to see how our economy is doing in the macro economy. So we measure prices. Changes in prices are measured in what's called price indexes. There's a bunch of price indices that economists use. The most popular one in our world is the CPI, which stands for Consumer Price Index. And what we do, since they're in this market basket of goods, one set of goods is compared year after year after year. So in our example here, our market basket would be canes and towels and doors. And we would want to compare how the prices change from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. We always want to use the same products because if we use different products, then we're not going to get an accurate portrayal of how prices have changed. For this example, we'll just say one cane, one towel, and one door. You always want to have, and obviously we buy more than one canes, one towel, or one door, but we want to have the same amount bought each year to determine prices. Okay, we want to have similar amounts, or similar bought goods to compare. The equation for the CPI is to figure out current prices, sometimes called nominal prices, so nominal or current prices over the base year price times 100. So let's get an example. So in year 1 we have canes for $1, towels for $2, and doors for $5. So total, this would equal $8. So the current price for year 1, or the nominal price, would be $8. For year 2, it'd be $150 plus $225 plus $550, and that would be, let's see, that's $925, right? And then for year 3, it would be $1050. So if we want to figure out the CPI for year 1, we would take 8, which is our current, right? And base, everyone has to have a base year to compare it. So if you want to compare how much prices have gone up, you have to have a year to compare it to. And usually we'll just use year 1. You don't have to, you can choose any year to be base. But your base year will usually end up, or always end up being 100. So CPI for year 1, current was $8 over, if we're going to choose year 1 as our base, it'd be $8 times 100. This would cross out, and our CPI would equal 100. So for year 2, our current is $925, so $925 over our base year, which is 8, times 100. And then you can figure up, divide 8 into 925, take it times 100, and that is your new CPI. For year 3, and you can move over here, for year 3, the current, or the nominal price is $1050 over the base of $8 times 100, and then you can see CPI. Okay? So that is what inflation is, a change in price levels. It reduces your purchasing power. When inflation goes up, your purchasing power is reduced. Here's an example. Here's the type of price index we're going to look at. Here is the formula for price index, and then here's an example of how we look at one. In the next one, we're going to look at how you figure out changes in CPI, and we're going to look at GDP as well. So we're going to look at GDP, how the price indexes will fit into that, and then how we can compare from year to year.